A deal to send additional foreign aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan has been stalled in the House for months.
And now a bipartisan group of lawmakers has introduced new legislation tying that end to border security. And here to discuss more are two co-sponsors of this bill, Democratic Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez and Republican Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer. Good to see you both.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Congresswoman Chavez-DeRemer, we'll start with you. So how will this bill address the crisis at the border?
Well, specifically, it addresses three things. It'll allow the Secretary of Homeland to assess the situation in order to be able to halt the flow of anybody coming into the country in order to gain operational control. It will allow the Secretary to do that. It will also allow CBP to assess the situation and determine whether or not it's an asylum case or whether or not they need to remain in their home country. And then lastly, the Remain in Mexico portion of the bill is for Congress to pass that law and then have the president negotiate exactly how Mexico will partake in that. So to secure our national security, but to secure our border is an important part of this package. And I think that that's what's been agreed upon by the bipartisan members who brought this bill forward.
Let's talk about that Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy. This bill reinstates it for a year. Congressman Gluesenkamp-Perez, this would require those migrants to await their court hearings in Mexico, not in the United States. Why do you think it needs to be reinstated?
Well, it's funny. Trump likes to brand things, but actually that is something that Congress implemented in 1996. And so I think we are all really tired of having political footballs and not systemic reform that helps get the people who should be here securely here and keeps out people that abuse claims of asylum.
And Congresswoman Chavez-DeRemer, it would require compliance from the Mexican government. They have yet to agree to it. So what's the plan now moving forward?
Well, again, our job, as Marie stated, is to pass that law. We will ask the president to step in and negotiate what that looks like. We have to have operational control of that border for several reasons. What we're experiencing in the United States of America because of the border not being secure, at least in my district, I know in the state of Washington and throughout the United States, is we don't we don't know who's coming in, but two, the influx of the fentanyl crisis is, I cannot tell you the overdose deaths that we're experiencing in Oregon. That's why I care. As a Republican, it doesn't matter. These are our children dying on the streets. In Washington, same thing. And I want to make sure that I'm supporting, my colleagues here, that we've come together as a bipartisan group of legislators to say enough's enough. And how do we do that? So this bill addresses the border security, and at the same time, it's going to, defending democracy, so other borders can defend theirs, as Ukraine and Israel, and possibly the Indo-Pacific with Taiwan, if that ever moves forward. So we want to make sure we're getting funding to those countries as well.
And speaking of the defending democracies portion of this, Congresswoman Gluesenkamp-Perez, this legislation doesn't include any humanitarian aid. What do you say to Democrats and people who are like, there should be some of that in there, this doesn't do enough?
Well, absolutely, there should be humanitarian aid, but there are several bills and vehicles that provide that, and we can't let perfect be the enemy of good because the Ukrainians are dying right now. And so our job is to work across the aisle to get the best deal we can get to support our shared values of democratically elected institutions, secure borders, and let other bills come to the floor. I actually think that there's value in having a narrow focus to some of this legislation, so we're able to build the biggest coalition it's going to take, because we, in a narrow majority, things have to move with bipartisan support or they don't move at all. And the human cost is too high to not let things move.
And Congresswoman Chavez-DeRemer, your fellow sponsors are preparing to bypass House Speaker Johnson by bringing this bill to the floor with a discharge petition. This maneuver would require approval from a simple majority in the House. How confident are you that it will pass?
Well, we want to make sure, Speaker Johnson is well aware of this bill. We brought it to him. We wanted to make sure he's opened the door for this to happen. I think he recognizes that a bipartisan solution is what's needed here.
Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez and Lori Chavez-DeRemer, thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.